Hey guys, this is Thomas over here at nursemoneytalk.com, and in this video what I want to do is I actually want to share a story with you guys from when I was an LPN, when I first became an LPN, because if you guys have watched any of my videos, then you'll know that I took the LPN board or challenged the NCLEX PN or whatever you want to call it, like part ways through nursing school and through RN school, I should say. And so if you haven't seen that video, because I made a separate one, I'll put a link to that up there. But so did all of that, and then just kind of like what my experience was getting an actual offer from the nurse recruiter, which I found very interesting, a little frustrating. But before I get into that, if you're not already subscribed, I want to go ahead and invite you to hit that subscribe button. On this channel, I talk about all things related to nursing student, and of course, nurse life. The two other things is that if you're not a nurse thinking about becoming a nurse, you can find schools by going to nursemoneytalk.com/schools. The second thing is that if you are a nurse looking for a job, check out the job board by going to nursemoneytalk.com/jobs. So let's go ahead and get started. So as I already mentioned, at some point I had overheard that I could actually sit and take and become an LPN partways through RN school. Decided, hey, why not? I'm going to do that because I was really hoping that I would gain some experience. And also, if you guys have watched any of my other videos, then you'll know that I was also looking for opportunities, if you will, to make more money because I was already working like 40 plus hours a week. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I still work the 40 plus hours, but I'm making more money, then that would make things a lot easier. Maybe I wouldn't have to work 40 plus hours. So I ended up, doing all the paperwork and whatnot, filling out the form, paying the application fee because of course the state has to get their money. And then I ended up actually taking the NCLEX PN, fortunately passing. And my facility actually knew. I then told my facility, I was told, hey, go talk to the nurse recruiter. So I go in to talk to the nurse recruiter because the nurse manager, my nurse manager at that point, because I was a tech at that facility, right? But we were all under the same nursing manager, but and so she was pretty excited to have another nurse, especially one who kind of been there a while and knew a lot of just kind of like the routine of what was going on. So I go in to talk to the recruiter, and the recruiter comes back, and so we're talking. She gives me like the new LPN rate or whatever, and it was like 12 and change. I think it was like 12.10 or 12.20 or something like that. And mind you, I was making, I think, 11.10 or 11.25. It was somewhere around there. So I was making 11 and change. So this would have ended up being a less than $2 an hour raise. I remember thinking to myself, this is thinking ridiculous because in that particular facility, it was frustrating for a lot of reasons. I was thinking like increased liability. And then even at that facility, right? Minus, two things. The LPN and the RNs pretty much did the exact same thing, right? Minus two paperwork. One was some admission paperwork that needed to be signed, even though the LPN could do the admission and do everything else. There was one thing that the RN needed to do, and then it was because this was a mental health facility. Then during a hold, there was like one paperwork or whatever that the RN needed to do. But besides that, LPNs and RNs, they actually took their own patient, and depending on what nurse you were working with, you were going to be pretty much on your own. And so this was frustrating to me because like it wasn't even at that point, like I was thinking like it wasn't even that I wanted to get paid as much as like the RNs, but I was thinking, golly, really? Um, I think at that point I don't think I was 100% sold that I was even going to start working as a nurse. But after talking to the nurse recruiter, um, I was then even questioning it, right? Because part of the other reason, so like I mentioned, There was actually a third reason why I took the LPN deal. It was to make more money, the experience. But the third reason was that I was like, if nothing else, I had this constant fear that I was going to fail RN school. And so I was like, man, even if I fail, I'll at least have something I can fall back on. Um, I didn't fail. I don't even think wasn't that close to failing. It was just, hey, struggle was real. It was kind of an anxiety. So I was just like, man, I already have the license. I might be better off just holding on to it and not even fooling with even trying to work as a nurse. So I come out of the recruiter's office. I walk down and I happen to run into a tech, right? This tech, I've known him for a while, and he was primarily in the ER. So we start talking and whatnot. I seemed a little frustrated, so he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" So at that point, I was like, "I don't really care, whatever." So I just told him, and so this dude started laughing after I told him. Like he was laughing, wasn't even trying to hide out anything but how funny he thought it was. His response was, "Dude, do you know how many techs I know in this hospital that'll be making more money than you as an LPN?" And so I was like, did not help. Did not help make me feel better. Through all of that, there were actually three things that I learned from that entire story, right? Or that entire experience. The first thing was that hospitals really don't value LPNs. And so, if you're wanting to work in a hospital, and you want to really, what I would consider maximizing how much you can make as a nurse for your time, you're really better off going the RN route. And or short of that, like, going to places where LPNs tend to make a lot more money, like the L tax and your nursing homes, assisted livings, and whatnot. And I can understand why there's not a lot of people that are wanting to go work there, but just kind of throwing that out. So the second thing that I learned, and I would relearn it again later after graduating RN school, was that if you don't have experience, you don't really have a whole lot of leverage, right? In terms of what you can negotiate, because your experience is what gives you opportunities, right? That leverage in terms of your ability to leverage that during a negotiation is all based on the employer seeing that you have a lot of options and they want to recruit talent. And so no options means no leverage. And so like I said, I would relearn that again if you've watched any of my other videos when I went to trying to negotiate when I graduated RN school. The third thing, which is that sometimes you have to take a lower pay, right? Sometimes you have to take a little bit of a step back to be able to accomplish a bigger goal that you have. And so, and I think that was one of the things that I did learn, because while it was frustrating and it was maddening for a lot of reasons, I did end up going down that route. I did end up doing the LPN thing. And while I think my original thesis and my original thought on why I would end up doing it, some of it didn't really pan out the way I would have liked. I do think that there were definitely some benefits that I got from it, in terms of when I had to when I had to take the NCLEX RN, or just like when I first was orienting as an RN, some of this stuff I had already seen it because I was actually literally taking my own patient load, which a lot of my classmates were not doing that. But if you are an LPN, or of an LPN situation, and you can kind of relate to your issues as an LPN trying to deal and negotiate with a hospital, go ahead and share what your thoughts are or what your experiences are in the comment sections below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you very soon in that next video.